Hey everyone, it's Taylorverse, and welcome back to I Hate My Selfie by Shane Dawson. We're starting off with My Leg Twin. You know how you walk around the city and stare at everyone's bodies and compare theirs to your own? No? Just me? Well, it's a habit I picked up when I was around 11 years old and already fixated on my weight. It probably didn't help that I went to my first Weight Watchers meeting when I was 10, but that's beside the point. Walking around school, I would stare at every guy's body and wonder what he looked like naked. It wasn't a sexual thing, it was more of a, I wonder if they have that weird fold of fat above their privates too, type of thing. I always felt like I had a bizarre body that was a scientific anomaly. I had the face and arms of a thin person, but the stomach and legs of someone who bleeds marshmallow fluff and Nutella. It was kind of like I was an actor sitting in my trailer halfway out of his fat suit. They'd taken off the face prosthetics, but I still had the fat suit on. My brother was the total opposite. He had the shape and coloring of a carrot. I was never jealous of his red hair, but I would have made a deal with Satan to get a body like his. I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to pick up a pair of pants at the store and not have to make adjustments to the waistline with a steak knife and scissors when I got home. And by the way, a 4X shirt isn't much different from a 3X, so don't waste your money on the extra X. It's a scam, and it's sad that I know that. The fixation with my weird body didn't go away when I lost weight. In fact, it got worse. I still to this day walk around checking out other dudes' bodies and comparing them to my own. On my first date with a girl, she noticed that I was checking out guys in the restaurant and started getting suspicious. That, mixed with my haircut, 4 coatings of high-gloss chapstick, and skinny jeans with decorative fading, didn't help my case. I tried to explain to her that I wasn't checking out their packages, I was merely checking out the rest of them and doing their measurements in my head. This didn't go over well, and dinner ended early. But it gave me an excuse to go home and watch an extra hour of My 600-Pound Life on DVR, so it all worked out. Oh my god, I fucking love that show. One day, a few years back, I was lying in bed, contemplating whether or not I should brush my teeth, but instead watched 12 hours of children's television. I have a sick obsession with children's television. I don't know if it's because I enjoy terrible jokes and loud fart sound effects, or... Actually, that's exactly what it is. That explains my humor perfectly. Mystery solved. Anyways, I was about 8 hours into the season of some terrible Disney show when I noticed one of the guest stars had my legs. They were chubby, wide at the hips, and shaped like a pork chop. I paused my TV and stared at it for a good 10 minutes. I had never seen a guy with my legs before. I'd seen plenty of 5 months pregnant women with my legs, but never a man. He had a soft middle like me, and his body was so disproportionate that it made me feel like I had a long-lost twin. I always wondered if that birthmark on my ass was from a twin separation surgery. Mom had said it was a kiss from an angel. That lying cunt. I knew I had a twin, and it was my mission to find him. So I did what any sane 23-year-old man would do. I looked him up on IMDb, and then found his Twitter, then tweeted him till he followed me so I could direct message him, set up a time to meet up. Yep, totally sane. 2 days later, I woke up to a new Twitter notification on my phone. He followed me back. Score. I tried to think of some small talk that would make it seem like I'd just stumbled across his Twitter and decided to follow him. I didn't want to tell him the truth because something told me, "You're my fat leg twin," wouldn't go over well. After a few small conversations, he asked me if I wanted to hang out. My heart stopped. I felt like a 12-year-old girl getting asked out by my biggest crush. Except I wasn't sexually interested in him. I just was interested in his pork chop eyes. So I told him that I was pretty busy, but I could try and fit it in. I like playing hard to get with my leg twin. He gave me a time and location, and it was on and cracking. Same time next day, I was going to see my other legs in person. I couldn't wait. I prayed to God that it would be 1,000 degrees so he would show up in shorts. I didn't know what I would do if his legs were chubby and hairy like mine. I thought I would actually have a full-on mental breakdown. The feeling of joy would overtake my body and make my fat legs explode. The next day I pulled up to the coffee shop where we were going to meet up and waited in the car. I got there a little early because I wanted to see him walk in. I wanted to see those legs in motion. I got a text from him saying that he was running a few minutes late. I told him not to worry about it and that I was running late too. Lies. I had been there for almost 30 minutes in anticipation of this epic moment. I started to get nervous. The reality of what was happening hit me. What if he walked up to the coffee shop and his legs were skinny? Would I just take off? It started feeling like Plenty of Fish date. I was already planning my escape. And as I was planning, I looked up at the window and I saw them. They were standing right in front of the coffee shop, thick, sausaged into tight jeans and beautiful. They were even fatter in person, just like mine. I started sweating. This was it. The big moment. I was ready. I hopped out of my car and walked up to him. I was hoping that maybe he would look at my legs and notice that we were leg twins. I even tried to mimic his walk so that he would get some sort of leg deja vu. Unfortunately, he wasn't as creepy and body obsessed as me, so he didn't look below my face. Hey, Shane. Hey. This is so weird. I've been watching you online for a while now. I've been watching you too. Really? On what? Your Disney show. Aren't you 23? Who wants coffee? I walked him into the cafe and found us a table. As we walked over, I stared at him from behind. He didn't just have my legs. He had my entire body. This was a miracle. We sat down and made small talk. I don't remember anything we talked about because I was staring at his chest the entire time. I could see his lopsided nipples poking through his exercise shirt, and all I could think was, I wonder if they have black spots around the areolas too. I started undressing him in my head, and I'm gonna be honest, it got super creepy. Once again, this wasn't a homoerotic experience. It was more of an unwrapping gifts on Christmas Eve experience. I just wanted to rip off all his clothes and rub my twin body against his and take a bunch of selfies. A waitress walked over and asked for our order. I was hoping to God that he would say the same thing as me just to make this mandate even more magical. But what happened was shocking and a sign of things to come. What would you boys like today? I'll take a side of fries and extra ranch, please, and a Diet Coke with cherry in it. How old are you, 10? Andy watches the Disney Channel. He must be the slow brother. She thought we were brothers. Perfect. And what would you like, baby? Can I just get a grilled chicken breast, no oil, no butter, no sauce? Of course. Diet Coke, too? God, no, that stuff will kill you. Oh, no. This had just taken a turn. We were not brothers. We were not even the same forest of family trees. We probably weren't even going to be friends. This waitress walked away, and I just stared at him in silence for a few moments. I didn't know what to say. If he ain't that healthy, how in God's name did he have my body? He must have just started some new diet to shed the puffiness. On a diet? No way. I don't consider it a diet. More of a lifestyle. Who the fuck is this? This is not my twin. Oh, so you've always eaten like that? Oh yeah, your body is your temple, you know? Gotta keep it clean. Right. Temple, you used to be fat, right? How'd you know that? You made a video about it. And you're always retweeting pictures of food porn. It's actually sad sometimes. You retweeted a picture of raw cookie dough last night at 3 a.m. Yeah, it was a tough day. You should come work out with me sometime. Work out? Okay, there was no way with that soft, puffy body, this dude worked out. Unless he worked out and then did a keg stand for 12 hours immediately after. Yeah, maybe. You go often? Oh yeah, every day. There's nothing I love more than sweating so much that I can wring my shirt out and fill an empty Gatorade bottle with it. I had to agree with him on that, except replace sweat with pee and replace Gatorade bottle with Diet Coke bottle. I don't need that wide a mouth. Oh God, you ever get an itch on your back that you just can't reach? This was the moment when all my dreams came crashing down. As he reached his arm to scratch his lower back. His shirt lifted up and revealed something that I never saw coming. A motherfucking six-pack. This guy wasn't soft. This guy was hard. Harder than a priest during a baptism. Harder than the dad from Seventh Heaven during the Ruthie Rides a Horse episode. How does a body so fit look so soft in clothing? Why does my body look like shit in clothing and naked? I had so many questions flying through my head that I started seeing stars. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Be right back. As he got up to leave, I stared at my legs and realized that he didn't have chubby legs. He had thick legs. There's a huge difference. His thighs were thick because they were so ripped. He could have crushed a watermelon with those pork chop thighs. I instantly started feeling sick to my stomach. I had built this man up in my head to be a clone, and instead he was just a better version of me. A better version of me with more credits on his IMDb page. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not a fat guy, and I don't think I am. But I definitely am a guy who should lift more weights and not have ranch with every meal. I lost a bunch of weight, but I've never been able to get toned. I just don't have the willpower to hit up the gym every day for 2 hours, and the idea of cutting candy out of my diet seems impossible. So because of that, I just have to live with the fact that I'll never be able to take my shirt off in public, and I'm okay with that. I started contemplating my escape plan. Should I just leave and pretend like I had been taken away by the rapture? Should I leave a note telling him that my family died and I had to go identify the bodies? I was desperate for a way out of this disaster. He walked back to the table and sat down with a satisfied look on his face. I'm sure he had just taken a huge, healthy bowel movement, and here I was with IBS and a stomach full of ranch dressing that was sure to come out my ass like I got bukkakied at a gangbang. I ended the conversation and told him I had a lot of work to do at home, and I wasn't lying. I had about 4 hours of standing in front of the mirror looking at my body in and out of clothes to look forward to. As we left, we decided that sometime soon we were going to hang out again, but he didn't know the truth. I'd already gotten what I wanted out of this relationship. I was ready to move on. I saw what he was working with and decided it wasn't for me. The last thing I needed was another friend who was comfortable taking their shirt off at the beach. So we went our separate ways and never spoke again. This entire situation showed me that I shouldn't be looking for a body twin. I shouldn't even be looking at myself that much because nobody really cares about how I look except for me. I have this idea that when I walk around in public, everyone is judging me or comparing my body to theirs, when in reality the only people who are doing that are me and maybe a few other mentally unstable people. Me! All that Disney star wanted to do was hang out and possibly start a friendship, but instead I shut him out of my life because I didn't want to be reminded of how fat I felt around him. Luckily, in the last few years, I've gotten over the constant need to check out dudes' physiques, and hopefully one day, me and Disney Dude will cross paths again and get some oil-free, butter-free, fat-free chicken together. Until then, I'll continue to lie on my bed, retweeting food porn and watching television shows I'm criminally too old for. Shocktuber. 1 a.m. The sound of thousands of robotic birds chirping repeatedly filled my room. This could only mean one of two things. Either I was finally having that nervous breakdown my mother told me was hereditary, or my Twitter was blowing the fuck up. I didn't have the urge to shave my head and jump out my bedroom window, so it must have been the latter. When my Twitter blows up, the first thought is, oh my god, Lindsay Lohan died. Every morning when I wake up, I wonder if the number one trending topic in the world is going to be RIP Lindsay Lohan. Right above hashtag, she was so good in Mean Girls. What happened? I mean, not to sound morbid, but it's just a matter of time, right? I think we're all just waiting for it. We wanted to make it through, but let's keep it real. TikTok. Anyway, my Twitter wasn't blowing up because of a former child star's death or even of another hurricane with a waitress's name. It was blowing up because I was supposedly a racist. There are a few words that actually offend me. Putting my life out on the internet for so long has made me numb to pretty much every criticism and insult. I got a comment on a video once that said, "I bet your grandmother is looking up from hell crying because you are such a stupid cocksucking faggot with AIDS." That was hard for me to read. I don't think I've ever said that word. Oh. And my first thought was, shouldn't AIDS be capitalized? So not much bothers me. When people say I'm racist, it really gets under my skin. My superior, perfect wife. Damn it. So you're probably wondering what set Twitter off. What set Twitter ablaze wasn't even anything I had done, but something that people assumed I had. It was a sketch on YouTube about Harriet Tubman making a sex tape, and it went viral after CNN got a hold of it. Because some of the actors in the videos are actors I have used in my work, people assumed I created it, which was completely untrue and really frustrated me. I would never do a video about Harriet Tubman making a sex tape. Cameras weren't even around back then. I take creative liberties in my sketches, but I don't want them to be completely inaccurate. As I scrolled through my timeline, I saw thousands of "Shane Dawson is a racist" and "Shane Dawson hates black people" tweets. And each one was like a dagger in my heart. The angry mob started posting links to other videos I had done, pointing out every offensive joke I had ever made. They started creating a narrative that I was this secret KKK member who was out to brainwash the youth of America with my sick racist comedy, which is ridiculous. If I were trying to brainwash the youth of America, I would brainwash them into buying more merch. My merch doesn't really sell that well. Speaking of which, today I got some of his fucking merch. Oh, it's so soft. I got the conspiracy t-shirt that on the back has a planchette. It is so soft and it is so pretty, and there are such intricate details in the filigree. Oh, like him and Jeffrey did that, like that. Oh, so good, so good. Anyway, it's unfortunate because it's good shit, but I digress. I tried to set the record straight and explain that I had nothing to do with the video, but that went unheard. The fire was too big, and no amount of explanation could put it out. So I waited. It eventually blew over, and I went back to waiting for Lindsay Lohan to die. Lovely. But this wasn't the first time I'd been labeled as a racist. My videos have been controversial since I first started back in 2008. The "did he really just say that?" and "whoa, too far, Shane" comments have been flooding my YouTube channel since the beginning. But I never set out to be some kind of shocktuber. Just made up that term. Feel free to use it. Pushing the envelope is just something that I naturally do without even trying. It's second nature to me, like riding a bike or making an audible sad sigh sound when I walk by a homeless person. I can't help it. My humor was created by my environment. Margaret Cho isn't considered a racist for making jokes about Asians and their stereotypes because it's what she grew up with. It's what she knew, and same goes for me. I grew up in Long Beach, California, where we are famous for raising Snoop Dogg and having lots of stabbings. All my jokes, all my characters, all my points of views as a comedian were created while living in that environment. I'm sure as I get older I will be influenced by my new experiences, but for now I still grab from that period in my life. My first time performing for an audience was in 10th grade. It was a sketch I wrote, and my drama teacher chose it to be performed in front of my entire 10th grade class. It was about a white kid who wanted to fit in with his black friends, so he tried everything he could to think he could think of to impress them. It was a sketch full of stereotypes, and to an all-white audience, it would probably have been received with crickets and uncomfortable silence. But to my diverse class, it was received with uproarious laughter and a standing ovation. And to get 10th graders to stand up for anything is a huge victory. That day after the performance, one of my teachers, who was white, asked me if I thought the skit was racist. Wait, that day after the performance, one of my teachers, who was white, asked me if I thought the skit was racist. I was shocked. How could satire be considered racist? I hadn't said anything demeaning. I hadn't used words that were hurtful. And I sure as hell hadn't said I was superior to anyone. Luckily, I had a friend stick up for me and risk getting detention to do so. My friend happened to be black. How was what he did racist? He was showcasing stereotypes, which was encouraging people to laugh at African Americans and the way they act. But some of us do act like that. Well, that doesn't make it right. No, it makes it relatable. I know people who act foolish and coon-like, and those people are ridiculous to me. Shane wasn't making fun of black people. He was making fun of a group of black people who act ridiculous. Well, I disagree. Well, you're not black. You don't understand what it feels like for white people to walk on eggshells around us. Scared to say anything that could be misconstrued as racist, making us feel like we should be treated with kid gloves because we can't take the fact that our skin is a different color and some people don't like us. I like laughing at shit I relate to. And I like that a white person was doing it. It made me feel more a part of this society and less like an outcast. I really like that. I've never thought of it that way. Wow. Now, I know it sounds like I'm making that conversation up. It's too perfect and too well crafted to be an actual conversation between a high school student and his teacher, but it really happened, and it really changed the way I thought about comedy. There are things people are afraid to joke about, things people think are taboo, but I don't want to ever be afraid to go into that territory. Everybody just wants to relate and feel like a comedian gets them. I think it's the reason I have such a diverse audience on YouTube, because I truly relate to people who feel like they don't belong. I might be a white guy who hasn't been ignored by a taxi driver, but that doesn't mean I don't know what it's like to have people treat me like shit for being different. I don't ever make jokes that are hateful for no reason. If one of my characters says something completely over the line and offensive, the audience isn't meant to be laughing with them. They're meant to be laughing at them. Laughing at how stupid the character is for saying something so horrible, because there are people in this world who say horrible, stupid shit. And instead of just sitting back and taking it, I like to make fun of them. Now, I can't control it if some racist person watches my video and laughs for the wrong reason. That would be like not making horror movies because you don't want to give serial killers something to jerk off to. Every viewer has a different experience while watching something. All I can do is hope that my audience gets it and enjoys it. 1 week later, 1 a.m., I hear the sound of thousands of robotic birds chirping repeatedly in my room. I rush over to my computer. Has it finally happened? Is this it? I opened up my browser and checked the top trending topics of the day. Nope. She's still alive. Just another hurricane with a waitress's name. Prom. Oh, I like that drawing. A wise person once said, prom is only for whores and for the guys who want to fuck them. My grandma was a smart woman. Don't even get me started on her thoughts of quinceañeras. I'll give you a hint. They're horribly offensive and completely accurate. What? Anyways, there are so many people who would tell you that prom is a magical night full of romance and stomach butterflies, but they forget to tell you that about the pain and embarrassment that come along with it. My prom was shit. Just, oh. The guy I was dating was acting like an immature ass. And, like, most people, when they say that, it's just that they have been arguing. But no, me and him never argued. Because I didn't want to deal with it. He was with his friend, and they were putting the food in a fucking Walmart bag to take home. They made their own doggy bag of fancy food, and they were going to take it home to the friend's house and play video games. So they were just grabbing handfuls of food, shoving it in a fucking Walmart bag while we were all dressed up fancy and shit and making a fucking mess. And there was no dancing, there was no niceness, nothing. And at the time, one of my best guy friends, there was this situation where he may have actually been my half-brother, but we found out that that wasn't the case. But at the time, we were just gonna call it and say he was my brother. So, he's still like a brother. I, said fuck it, and me and him and some band friends, we left early and went to Applebee's. And I just left my prom date. It's like, I'm fucking out. Bye. And that was like the only argument kind of thing we ever had while we were dating. We had one more afterwards, but that's for another day. Anyway, back to the story. That was a little tangent. My prom experience was like watching a deadly car crash in slow motion. Heads were flying through the windshield, airbags were breaking people's skulls, and there was even a cute puppy smashed up against the hood getting sucked into the grill. Oh, God. It wasn't just the big night that was a disaster, it was the entire lead-up. So I'll take you through it slowly, so you can get the whole sad, bloody picture. If you have any sharp objects or pills nearby, hide them in a cupboard. This entire experience might throw you into a suicidal state. Hold up. 90% you're sorry. Oh, let's do it this way. 27 minutes. I think we're going to just finish this fucking book. And if this ends up being a long episode, oh fucking well. One day during my thrilling senior year, I was hanging out with my group of friends at lunch, talking about all the exciting things going on in our lives. It was always a very short conversation. You know how every school has what's commonly known as the crazy tree. Underneath the crazy tree. Why do I still remember that? That song he did is so old. Well, rap. Well, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. During lunchtime, all the cliques hung out in their designated sectors outside. Nobody hung out in the cafeteria because that's where the school food was. And being within 10 feet of that would give you the stomach flu. I don't know who decided on the sectors. I feel like it was a natural instinct thing. For example, I would never have even dreamed of walking up to the benches by the school side gate. That was an area filled with jocks who were getting pocket hand jobs from their cheerleader girlfriends. Just walking by, your nose would fill with the smell of splooge and hot Cheetos. The rest of the sectors were taken up by nerds, the Asians, the black kids, the Mexicans, and the pregnant girls. Finally, on the far side of the quad, next to the girls' bathroom, was a large tree that looked like it had been ripped out of some depressing Tim Burton movie. It created more shade than all the queens on RuPaul's Drag Race combined. If the tree could have spoken, it would have said, "Dear God, cut me the fuck down. I hate my life." It would probably have also asked that one fat girl to stop practicing her makeout skills on it, but that fat girl would have never stopped. That fat girl was me, and that tree marked my sector. My group was made up of misfits, and not in a fun comic book way, more in the rejected scraps of meat that become bologna way. I would say I was the leader of the group, but that implies that we did stuff that required leading. We more or less just stood around and shared a family-sized bag of Doritos. First, there was Tara, who I told you about earlier. Although she wasn't usually around at lunchtime because she was in the parking lot hanging out with her guy friends. Then there was a 4-foot-tall stoner named Pam, who had an undiagnosed case of Tourette's syndrome. Her vocabulary was limited to cuss words, and she would somehow combine them to make full sentences. "Hey Pam, what's up? Fucking bullshit, bitch, motherfucker's dumbass, fucking with that bitch again, shit." Nice. She was a true linguist. Then there was Brandon, who was a loose cannon with slight serial killer tendencies. One time he brought a taser gun to school and gave Pam $5 to let him try it on her. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but I do remember she almost died. Finally, there was my lesbian friend and future prom date Kelly. Did I mention she was a lesbian? Yeah, we'll get to that later. Kelly was a unique girl. Her wardrobe was a mix between Kenny from South Park and that kid who shot all his classmates in that one news story. There was lots of camo, lots of cargo pockets, and lots of stickers on her backpack that said aliens greater than people. She was a true freak, which is why we had so much in common. Kelly and I spent pretty much every weekend together. We would eat mass amounts of junk food. We would drive around blaring Britney Spears and tell no one. And wait, what? While blaring Britney Spears and tell no one, and the most important, we would make sketch comedy videos. Some of my first videos I ever posted on YouTube were ones we had made together. We had a great working relationship. I would hold the camera and force her to do whatever I wanted her in front of it. In one video, she had to give herself a fake abortion and then smear the blood on her face. Trust me, it's funnier than it sounds. So it was the week before prom, and everyone was planning out their epic romantic night of dancing and sex. Those of us under the crazy tree were more focused on who was going to get to pour the crumbs at the bottom of the Dorito bag down their throat that day. Then the unthinkable happened. I was asked to prom. Now, before you start imagining some amazing, beautiful moment when a girl walked up to me with a hand-painted sign that said prom and flower petals falling from the sky, let me share with you a bleak reality. Get ready for this. Once again, hide the sharp objects. Hey, Shane, can I talk to you over there for a second? By the trash can on Fish Stick Day? This must be important. So, do you want to go to prom with me? What? I'm serious. You're a lesbian. Like, a big lesbian. You constantly have new scabs on your forearms. Ah! My kitty started clawing my leg. What does that have to do with being lesbian? I don't know, but it doesn't scream I like dick. You wouldn't have to pay for it. Why? Is this a make-wish thing? Did the principal put you up to this? I keep telling him I'm not dying. I just have a dying kid resting face. No, my dad's gonna pay. Why? He doesn't even like paying for shampoo. I mean, your hair has more grease dripping from it than a deep fryer at a country fair. You really know how to make a girl feel pretty. Okay, what's going on? For reals. My dad wants me to go with a guy, so he said he would pay for you to go with me. Yikes. That's like the plot for some terrible 90s movie. Does it end with you realizing that you're not gay and actually falling in love with me? I'm really glad we're next to the trash can right now. I feel chunks rising. So if I say no, then what? Then I don't get to go to prom. Do you really want to go? A bunch of straight people fondling each other doesn't really sound like your thing. I know, it's dumb. But I really want to go. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Technical difficulties. Okay. I dropped something. Don't worry. We're good now. But I really want to go. The only time I've ever worn a dress was at my grandma's funeral a few years ago, and I didn't even get to enjoy it. I had to change into something that would cover up my boobs while I helped carry the casket. Yeah, funerals are tough. What do you say? For me, this was a hard decision. I didn't know what would hurt more. Letting my friend down, or going to prom with a lesbian. It was like choosing between lice and crabs. One was contagious, the other would only affect me. I also didn't quite know how I felt about her dad pimping me out like I was some fat hooker. The sad part is, she is what she said to sweeten the deal. My dad said he would pay for our Denny's meal. The even sadder part was my reaction. I'm fucking in. I mean, like, free food. Wow, yeah. Anyone would say yes to free food. Damn it, kitty. You're giving me issues. Yes, you are. What the hell are you doing? My cat is trying to steal my blanket. Little shit. He's just a little shit. So it was settled. Kelly was all mine for the night at the low cost of prom tickets, my tux, and my Denny's meal. The night of prom arrived in a flash. Before I knew it, it was time for me to lie on the floor and have my mom help me zip up my tuxedo pants. As I put on my suit and looked in the mirror, I couldn't help but notice how much I looked like a lesbian myself. Maybe this was meant to be. Maybe Kelly and I would be the hottest lesbian couple at prom. Although, we did have some pretty stiff competition. There were these two Cambodian girls who DJ at birthday parties on the weekend. They were pretty cool. So I hopped in my, never been washed before car and headed over to my date's house. I picked up the wrist flower thing on the way there and then accidentally sat on it. To say it was destroyed would have been an understatement. I did to that wrist flower what God did to the dinosaurs. Extinct. As I pulled up to Kelly's house, I started getting nervous. I'm not sure why, because it wasn't even a real date, but there was something about the suit, the romantic song playing on the radio, the corsage in between my ass cheeks, that made me get stomach butterflies. Maybe this is what all those people were talking about. Maybe this night was going to be magical. Or maybe I was having bubble guts from all the sheet cake and refried beans I'd had the night before. I got to the front door, and before I could knock, it swung open, and I was hit with a storm of flashing lights. It was a photographer who her father had hired, and he wasn't shy about getting all the shots he wanted. There were so many flashes I started to wonder if I was having a stroke, which was totally possible once again, considering the sheet cake and refried beans. After the lights stopped flashing, I looked up and saw Kelly standing in front of me, looking like a completely different person. She wasn't the camouflaged, metal-tipped hiking boot-wearing girl I was used to. She was a beautiful princess with a dress perfectly fitted and a hairstyle ripped out of 17 magazine. No wonder she had to change her outfit at that funeral. She was probably giving the priest a chub. Well, probably not the priest, maybe the altar boys. Wow, you look great. I feel kind of stupid. Why? You look amazing. You look like a child prostitute, but happy about it." "That's what I was going for." Her dad walked out with a proud look on his face. He asked us to pose for a picture, and we took a few hundred. I'm sure I looked terrible in every one, but it didn't matter. She was pretty enough for both of us. Her dad walked over to me and gave me the take care of her speech, which was incredibly uncomfortable, but also kind of sweet. I'm sure most people reading this are thinking he's an asshole for not letting his daughter go to prom with a girl, but this was 2006. I know that doesn't feel like that long ago, but it really was. There weren't many openly gay kids at school, and the only openly gay guy in Hollywood was Lance Bass, so there weren't many people to look up to. It's not like nowadays, where you throw a rock into a crowd and you hit 10 gay dudes and 5 lesbians. Back in 2006, there was only an LGBT club at school. And now there's an LGBTGIA community. It's pretty amazing what 8 years can do. Well, and then add some. So, our night was off to a good start, and it was time to make it even better. We met up with some of our Crazy Tree friends at a restaurant, just like they do in all those teenager movies. I imagined all of us sitting around in our fancy outfits talking about the sexual adventures we were excited about having that night. But what I got was me and a few of our friends sharing a plate of tater joes at the Denny's next to a free clinic. If you don't know what tater joes are, they were a limited option at Denny's in 2006. Instead of chips, they were tater tots for the nachos. Oh. And they were as brutal on your ass as you'd expect. They sound fucking delicious. I'm so gonna make that at home now. So as we sat around stuffing our faces with something only homeless people should have been eating out of the trash can, one of my friends grabbed my leg with the strength of an ape. I'm not going to reveal my friend's name, because what happened next should never happen again to anyone ever, especially at Denny's. "Shane, I have a problem." "What's wrong?" "I got a visitor, if you know what I mean." "Oh God, is it your cousin Billy gonna stay with you again? He's the worst. You know every TV show theme song ever? We get it." "No, I have a visitor, you know where?" As she pointed to her vagina, it took about 5.5 seconds to sink in. My eyes bulged out of my head as I made a loud gasp that was heard by the entire restaurant. What could I say? I'm smooth. "What's going on?" "Huh? Oh, nothing. Top down the wrong pipe." "You breathed in a tater tot? Are you really surprised?" I guess not." Everyone went back to their tots, and I turned to my nameless friend. Did I mention she was wearing our white dress? The blood on her dress was as obvious as a skid mark on a pair of tighty-whities. And trust me, I know my skid mark tighty-whities. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Can you cover for me? Like spill ketchup all over you so don't see the blood? How did you come up with that plan so fast?" "When I was a kid, I used to pee my pants, so my brother would dump soda on my lap to hide it." "Wow, that's so sweet and incredibly sad. Do you want me to do it?" "I don't know, isn't that worse? Smelling like ketchup at prom and having a huge stain in my dress. Maybe I can just pretend the blood is ketchup. Ketchup isn't that dark unless it's organic, and trust me, people know Denny's doesn't do organic." "Okay, fine, do it." I took a deep breath and then casually squirted a pile of ketchup into her lap. I played it off like my hand had slipped and everyone bought it. "Shane, oh my God, what the fuck? Crap, I'm so sorry. I was so excited about the tots that I lost control of my motor skills." "It's okay, I'll just go to the bathroom and clean it off." "Here, I'll go with you and help." Everyone else at the table stared at me in confusion. I'm guessing they knew something was up, but then our milkshakes came to the table, so they were quickly distracted. After that bloody ordeal, it was time to head to the prom. We got to the hotel where the prom was happening, and it was way fancier than I had expected. There were hanging lights, decorations, and even plastic cups instead of paper ones. It was a huge step up from the ninth grade Sadie Hawkins dance I had gone to. Although I didn't technically go to the dance, I was on the student council, so I stood outside by the back entrance and made sure nobody got raped. Kelly and I walked into the party and took a big look around. It was pretty magical. Then right away a group of lesbians danced over to us in a tornado of pussy. Hey, Kelly, come dance with us. Maybe later. Come on, we requested Evanescence. I do love Evanescence. Go ahead. Really? Yeah, I can find someone to hang with for a while. Thanks. Save a dance for me? I'll save a dance. I probably won't save a cupcake, but a dance for sure. Deal. And with that, she was sucked up into the tornado of pussy, and I didn't see her to the end of the night. I looked around the room to see what I could do to fill my time. There was a dance circle that my friends were moshing in. No thank you. There was a photo booth with props and dumb hats. Nightmare. There was a table with desserts and a chocolate fountain. Thank God. I made my way over and set up shop. I was dunking my tenth Nutter Butter into the cascading waterfall of chocolate. I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was my teacher, Mrs. Smith. And to say she was slightly intoxicated would be an understatement. From her breath and the fact that she was a grown woman forced to chaperone a prom on her night off, I'm going to assume she was alcohol poisoning level wasted. She was the kind of teacher who you knew wanted to be a rock star, and teaching had been on her fallback. I always enjoyed her class, mainly because she would let us sleep whenever we had a hangover. What are you doing over here? Raising my risk of type 2 diabetes? You don't already have that? I'm an underachiever. You should be out there dancing. Me? Dance? I'd rather die while masturbating and be found by my mother. That was specific. I think about it a lot. Every time I masturbate, I think this could be it. Maybe I should leave a note. You do realize I'm your teacher, right? You do realize you're drunk, right? Touché. So where's your date? She ditched me to hang out with her lesbian friends. Wow, that's almost so sad it's hilarious. Yeah, I'm hysterically laughing on the inside, but I have to keep shoving Nutter Butters in my mouth to keep the laughter from coming out. You know, high school doesn't mean shit. Excuse me? Everyone thinks it's so important, being popular, going on dates, being voted prom king. None of it matters. After high school, nobody gives a shit. You go to college as a total loser or nobody, no matter how cool you are in high school. And after you graduate college, you're totally fucked. You make a lot of sense when you're drunk. Hey, 10 years from now, you're going to be cooler than any of these kids. Mark my words. You got something special. Are you trying to have sex with me? No, not yet. Maybe in 10 years when you're not a total loser. Understandable. Hey, you want to dance? Isn't that, like, highly inappropriate? Like, Lifetime movie inappropriate? Who cares? Fuck off. We only live once. She took my hand and dragged me to the dance floor. The song changed to a slow jam, making the situation even more awkward, but she didn't care. She pulled me in close and led me like I was a girl. I had never danced with anyone before in my life, and honestly, I was okay with her being my first. That's better than slow dancing with your drunk teacher at your... What's better than dancing with your drunk teacher at your senior prom? Nothing. As the song ended, the tornado of lesbians came around and dropped Kelly off. Can I cut in? Of course. I gotta go puke in the parking lot anyway. Stay classy, Miss Smith. Now that I knew how to dance, I grabbed Kelly's hand and led her through the last song of the night. It was pretty romantic, except for the whole she's a lesbian and the thought of me having a penis makes her physically ill part. We looked at each other and smiled. Yes, maybe it was weird to be going to prom with your best friend, who had no interest in you whatsoever, but at least we were experiencing this together. And at least neither of us had gotten our period in our white dress. So fine, okay. Maybe it actually wasn't a total car crash of a prom. It was more of a fender bender with a few scratches and a lot of laughs. We did it! Speaking of, Today at the library, I picked up the physical version of It Gets Worse. Oh, we fucking did it. I want to thank everyone in my life who has given me material for this book. I want to thank my family who loved me unconditionally and has always been brutally honest with me about my haircuts and fashion choices. You guys have given me enough material for 10 books. I also want to thank my friends for sticking by my side even though I constantly chew food with my mouth open and always ask if your passive-aggressive tweets are about me. I want to thank my girlfriend Lisa, awkward, for holding my hand in public and not making me walk 10 steps behind her. I want to thank my audience who has supported me since I uploaded my first video to my Shane Dawson TV YouTube channel in 2008. Without you, I would be nothing more than an insecure guy complaining about my life to just my family and friends. Now I have someone else to do that with. Thank you. And lastly, I want to thank God. Dude, you've got a sick sense of humor, but luckily so do I. Keep on filling my life with hilarious moments of awkwardness and embarrassment. I'd like this to be the first book of many. It can be like the Harry Potter franchise, except instead of a story of a wizard conquering his demons, it'll be a story of a loser accepting them. Yeah, that seems like a fun read. Oh. We did it. And now I have to wait on my mom to read It Gets Worse so I can fucking read it. And I don't want to wait. Damn it. Meanwhile, we'll play games again. I'll see you then. Bye, guys.